Hello and welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about post-Formula student. What do students go on to do after they've completed this contest? It's been 10 years since I've graduated, and funnily enough, my guest today is a kind of similar journey for you guys as well. Welcome, thank you for your time. Just for our audience's sake, perhaps a quick introduction, how many years since you guys have graduated, and what your current professional positions are.
So I'm Nick Atkinson. We know each other because we graduated at the same point in 2015 from the University of Hertfordshire, and I'm currently a senior mechanical design engineer for Jaguar TCS Racing.
Welcome, Nick. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Samadhi Samaratna. I also graduated along with Monty and Nick in 2015. I am one of the faculty advisors for UH Racing, the University of Hertfordshire team currently.
Welcome, Samadhi. Thank you.
Hi Monty, I'm James Tatham. I graduated from Portsmouth in 2017, but I did compete against you guys in Formula Students still. And now I work for Kenwood and I'm a design engineer there, and I design kitchen machines and stand mixers.
Welcome, James. Thank you. And last but not least.
Hi, I'm Luke Marshall. I'm a principal mechanical engineer at Rolls-Royce. I graduated in 2013, so 12 years now. So, yeah.
Welcome. Guys, thank you so much for your time. It's great to see you all. Now, some of the students I've been speaking to in the past, their vision was always about F1 only. Now, in our cases, that's not really been the case. Our journeys have taken different directions, but the skills we've learned from Formula students can still be applied in these respective directions that we've taken. So I'm going to hand this over to you guys first. Since leaving 8 years, 12 years ago in your case, what did that career path look like? Has it actually been as intended, or has it kind of gone off on stuff? So I guess, Nick, starting with you, what did you do after UH Racing?
So I started working for an aerospace company that no longer exists, I believe, called Zodiac Aerospace. I worked there for a year. I actually had that job offer before final exams. I wanted to do that because it was going to be a year of, or however long of CAD experience under my belt. A lot of people, I seem to remember, hanging on waiting for Formula One jobs. And for me, it felt much more sensible to go into a job and get a year of experience rather than a year of waiting for that experience to come. After a year there, I moved to Toyota Motorsport in Germany, where I worked on their Le Mans cars, which was really more what I wanted to be doing than aerospace stuff. Because, like you said, my ultimate career goal was Formula One. That was always the target. That's always what I'd wanted to do since I was a child. I did a couple of years at Toyota, won Le Mans, moved back to the UK and joined Renault F1, and then became Alpine. Bit of a sideways move. I did composites at Toyota and then moved to wind tunnel stuff at Alpine. But now I work at Jaguar in Formula E. I can wholly say that Formula One is not the be-all and end-all. And I know 10 years ago, if somebody would have said that to me whilst I was a Formula student, I'd have gone, nah, but it is though, isn't it? But it really isn't. My experience in Formula E is incredibly satisfying. And it's really, really satisfying because it feels like the closest thing that I've done in my career to Formula student. So we're a small group of people and we're just really, really pushing the envelope of everything that we can do within quite a limited budget and quite a limited remit, because we don't get to design all of the car in Formula E. Mm-hmm. And it feels exactly like it did 10 years ago with the three of us just trying our absolute best to take on, the mighty like Delft it was at the time.
Yeah.
With just our little meager budget trying to take them on, it feels kind of the same, and it was really satisfying.
It's all about maximising that budget again. So Formula student, but actually we did an interview the other day. Someone said it feels like they work for Williams now, and they said it's still Formula student, but on steroids. Do you think that's comparable?
Kind of yes and no. Like, obviously, 10 years, a lot happens in 10 years, so your memory fades a bit. But at its core, it feels really, really the same. Where people go, "Hey, I've had this crazy idea," and people go, "No, that's never going to work." And then they think about it for a couple of seconds, like, "Yeah, but actually, maybe." To me, that was the core that made Formula Student really enjoyable, because it was just, a bunch of students still early in their career trying to apply what they've learned at university. And although I'm more experienced now and the people I work with are more experienced, it is still that thing of like, okay, this has all been done, what hasn't?
I like that. No, 100% fully agree with everything there. So Maddie, your journey's taken a bit of a different route to Nick and mine. You stayed in education. Why was that?
Yes, I've not really moved away from Formula Student that much. Well, at all, really. I figured out during my undergraduate journey that I quite enjoyed academia. So I did take a year out after my undergrad to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, and then decided to go back and do a PhD. My degree was in aerospace engineering, even though I did Formula Student. So I started doing a PhD based on unsteady aerodynamics. And during that time, I got into doing some visiting lectures, part-time work, and figured out that I really enjoyed it. So when the opportunity arose to join on a permanent basis to teach basically aerodynamics and CFD, and a little bit of composites that I mainly learned working with Nick, to a bunch of future engineers, I took the chance, and it's been really satisfying. So yeah, I'm with the UH Racing team here, and they've come a long way since I joined as a permanent staff member. So I'm really happy with the journey.
It's been great to see them having a working car for the first time in 6 years as well this year. So fair play for all of your commitments and the knowledge share. I think that's probably one of the key things of Formula students is when we leave, is it going to be in safe hands for the next generation of students. So to be able to come back as a faculty advisor and bring it back in that way, it adds a bit more structure that way as well.
Yes, it does. Yeah. So I've had a lot of experience as a student, so it's really nice to pass on some of that knowledge to the younger generations and see them shine.
Thank you for being part of the solution then in that case. So amazing. James, your career is a bit different. Kenwood is a motorsport. How did that
It is a motorsport. So, when I graduated, I didn't actually go straight to Kenwood. I worked in aerospace for 5 years.
Okay.
And I worked for a company called Paul Aerospace, and we designed filters for aircraft. And I actually got the job before I graduated as well, similar to Nick, because I worked there in my placement year. They were also conveniently a sponsor to the team. So that was another reason for how I got the job. It was all through Formula Student. Through the work I did there, they recognised me. So it was a fantastic experience for 5 years. But another big passion of mine is cooking. So it just worked out well that I could move to a company where I could do both engineering and cooking. Unfortunately, Kenwood don't do motorsport as well to round it all off. So then I ended up working for Kenwood as a design engineer there, designing the mechanical systems in the stand mixers. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of gearboxes that you might not see in these consumer products, but actually it is all very similarly linked. It's got gearboxes, it's got motors, it's got cooling systems, it's got electronics. Talk about a Formula Student car, they've got all the same things.
This is much smaller.
Exactly, yeah. And this one also makes cakes, so it's fantastic.
The key question though is what's the drag coefficient of one of their food blenders?
Oh, well, I can't tell you that, Monty. That's a trade secret. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Fair enough. Then. Well, I won't dive too much into that one. But,
Yeah.
And then Luke, Rolls-Royce.
Yeah, so I didn't go straight to Rolls-Royce. Honestly, I won't go through my whole career journey. If you're really interested in my whole career journey, I've done a number of guest lectures. I do kind of the career journey lecture, like I go in and do some lectures and go Ruskin. So there's plenty of that out there on the interwebs if you really want to dig it up. But I'll kind of just generally go over rough experience. So about 7-8 years in automotive. So that's kind of Jaguar, Land Rover, Ford. I'd say automotive is definitely my first love. So obviously, Formula Student ties in well to that. But frankly, the automotive industry in the UK right now, unless it's in kind of more specialist like motorsport areas, is ailing, I think is the way I describe it. So I've kind of looked at other fields in some ways. So I've done a bit of work in shipping, some work in defence, which is current role. And yeah, so it's you're still applying very much the same things. So, to digress slightly, obviously I've been applying a lot of volunteer time here at Formula Student. I've taken 4 days out this week from work to come and volunteer here, and so some of my colleagues don't necessarily have the most favourable view of Formula Student because that it's a motorsport competition. We're not necessarily doing motorsport, so and frankly, the majority of the engineering roles available in the UK right now, they aren't directly related to automotive. But I think that's short-sighted. Personally, it's the transferable skills that I developed through entering Formula Student. That has put me where I am in my career today, 100%. It's undeniable. So growing up, I was painfully shy. Obviously, not so much the case now. You can probably, we've interacted many times. It doesn't show now, but that is, I would put the lion's share of that with Formula Student. Doing costing. We've got the boss man John. He was judging me at the competition, and doing these kinds of presentations and the communication skills required and the teamwork required, that is transferable to all industries, everywhere. So certainly when I see Formula Student on the CV, it is a major plus for me, and I would evangelise to anyone to say you should consider it too, because it is an incredible skill set that these students are developing, basically.
It's not just about F1, it's about unlocking your own potential, right?
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And you also get the fun bit of tinkering with a race car after uni every day as well. So that's
because race car.
Exactly, because race car. Exactly. Yeah.
No, I like that. The backgrounds of your journeys are so varied and inspirational. But as you say, the core there really is Formula Student gave you these skills which you didn't actually realise at the time you were going to pick up. You thought it was just going to give you a pathway into F1. But there's so much more into this: the independence, the communication side, the soft skills side, the management side as well. There's so many different varieties of things going on here that you can use these in all sorts of different industries. And even if you don't get into F1 directly, it's not wasted time, really, is it? We've been able to build successful careers for ourselves through different ways instead.
Yeah. For me, it's all problem solving. So whether you are tasked in any role to do a PowerPoint to present to people, at its core there is a problem. How do I get across what I need to present in the most effective way? And all of these skills are things that you get experience of through university and before that, sixth form school. But Formula Student is really applying them on a very competitive stage. It's how do I do a presentation that's better than my equivalent at another team? And then you have to start looking into the details and trying to make it so that you are better. How can I get this idea across more effectively? How can I present these ideas in a more cohesive way that's easy to absorb? And that's the same for every element, the costing, the design. It's all just problem solving. And so, like you said, when I look at graduate CVs that are coming to us and see Formula Student, you're like, well, they're going to have a leg up on every other applicant, probably, because they've had to do all of these skills in a more intense environment.
Intense environment, I like that. Yes, no, that's a very good point there, because I think a lot of universities give you, it's theory, but you need a way to put it into practice. And for a lot of students, the real lucky ones get to go and do motorsport or some kind of fast-paced thing in their spare time, but it's very expensive, it's very hard to get into there. To be able to do Formula Student as it was part of our degree, but it was an extracurricular thing we could do whilst at university. For a lot of people, that was their first exposure, and it really did show the difference between theory to practice. And even though My standout memory, I would say, from UH Racing days is someone who had a really, really high score on their exam and went and told the team boss, I should be running this team because I've got the highest mark out of us in the exam. Also believed it was okay to be stood behind the car collecting sparks from the angle grinder. And that to me shows the key difference of it's not theory, you need that exposure to it. And FS is huge for that, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we've got a couple of minutes left of this podcast, so I just want to turn this a little bit sentimental. Bear with me, guys. If you could go back, it's your first year of university, it's that version of you again. With what you know now, what would you go back and tell yourself? Would you do it any differently? Would you do it all the same?
I would say to myself, don't be afraid of making mistakes. So a lot of the things, as I said, a lot of my career has been primarily design focused. Did design on the Formula Student car, the bodywork and stuff like that. But more in terms of like operating on the car, touching things, whatever. I was quite timid to actually get involved and spanner because, you know, you cross-thread a bolt, somebody has a go at you, etc. But really, you cross-thread a bolt, then the next time you're cross-threading a bolt, you know what that feels like and you won't do it again. The earlier you can make mistakes in your career, the quicker you iron out things like that. But also, that's how you learn. Mistakes aren't a problem. Mistakes aren't a bad thing. Like, if you're you know, talking to myself 10 years ago, just get involved, get stuck in, hold your hands up if you make a mistake and go, sorry everybody, I've made a mistake. We're going to have to stay a bit later tonight whilst we fix it. But it won't just be you making mistakes. Tomorrow it'll be somebody else and you'll be able to help them. And the quicker you can get on board with that mindset in your career, the quicker you'll flourish.
Absolutely. You've got to be able to own it. And you know, for anyone out there, the teams that you see that are doing a real good job on the track this year, they're the ones that have persevered through thousands of mistakes to get where they are today. You don't really get success at your first attempt. I actually feel sorry for those who do get success at their first attempt because they don't actually know how they did it. And they're going to go off on an absolute downwards trajectory afterwards. Never be afraid to make mistakes and never be afraid to own it. I love that. Thank you. What other wisdom have we got?
I think for me it would be to get a mentor earlier. And I think that mentorship is really, really important. And it's that thing where you just want a voice to be able to say, I made this mistake. You know, as you were saying about making mistakes, it's fantastic. But if you beat yourself up about that mistake, you want someone to have experience and say, no, that's a good thing. You should be making those mistakes. You want that mentor behind you to encourage you to make those mistakes, to encourage those maybe crazy ideas you've got and say, give it a go. Why not do it? You want someone just to kind of, back you up through that and maybe point you in a direction. Maybe, you're looking at doing something one way, just having a voice of maybe sanity in some of those situations, just to say, rein that back in a bit and focus on this. And I think that if I had a mentor earlier on, it would have really helped me to progress a lot quicker, make those mistakes earlier, and maybe channel some of my energy to making some better decisions quicker than I would have otherwise.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mentorship. What else, guys?
I think just to build up on what both of you have said, I didn't actually do Formula Student in my first year, and I always wished I had. I was, like you said, really shy. So I was too afraid to go, I'll do this, or can I do that? So I wish I'd thrown myself into it a bit sooner. And like Nick said, just learn from the mistakes that you make. So yeah, I think that is my biggest takeaway. If I go back, it's just throw myself into more things and don't be afraid.
And get out of your comfort zone.
Yes. Yeah.
100%. Okay. I agree with that one 100% personally as well. Yeah. Luke, I'm going to give you the final word here.
I've got one fairly straightforward one and one that might be a little bit controversial. We'll get to that in a second.
Oh,
we like
excited for that one.
So the first one would be crack on with the assignments straight away. Don't procrastinate on them because I'm a massive procrastinator and like leaving them to the last minute was always my way. But when I did do them early, 95%, but then you're struggling to scrape a pass otherwise. It's guilty. Yeah, guilty. The more controversial one would be, so I started my studies at Swansea University, which is where I did a Formula Student. However, the course at the time at Swansea was very theoretical. Like there was 12 exams a year. It was, and I'm not great at exams, frankly. So the counsel I would give would be more careful about your university choice, fundamentally. So where I transferred to complete my degree before I graduated in 2013 was the University of South Wales, and the way that they teach, all of their academics are ex-industry. The way that they teach engineering is much more assignment-based, but the assignments are literally, it's like a work package you would receive in work. So you are doing engineering on your degree, which is, I found, an absolute revelation, because, as I say, I'm not great at exams. I just, like studying, I can only do so much. And with 12 exams a year, I was really struggling to get positive pass. So with thinking, generally there's kind of two kinds of people. There's either the hare or the tortoise. And my thinking is more the tortoise. I do much better at assignments because I can spend the time and think about it. Whereas with exams, that's focusing on hare thinking. So people who work faster and may not necessarily be as accurate, but they're still going to deliver. So yeah, that would be my counsel, would be maybe think of a different uni, basically.
I don't think that's controversial at all. I mean, each university has their own way of delivering the same end product. And I mean, look at Scotland, they do 4 years for a bachelor's there. Some are more coursework based, some are more exam based. Yeah. I've never really been a strong person for exams because that's just not how my brain works. I prefer to go out there and do it and show people I'm capable of, because trying to regurgitate on a piece of paper doesn't work for me. Yeah. So horses for courses, rabbits and hares and tortoises. But no, I wouldn't say that's controversial at all. Yeah. I would say that's kind of part of your research. Go to as many open days as you can, get a feel for the university and make sure it is what you believe it is that you're signing up to.
Yeah. It's not really to cast aspersions at Swansea, it's just, for me, it didn't work.
Absolutely. So, that's a personal journey, but it's really key to do the research there. Make sure you have a good gut feeling about it, because unfortunately some universities out there may missell a product as well. Not naming anyone there, but if you're feeling offended, then you're most welcome to wear the shoe. Anyway, and on that note, sorry, I promise I make it a bit more controversial. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate this. It's good to see you all again. Best of luck for the next 10 years. I'll come pester you again and see what you're doing 20 years after FS. See you later. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.